one of the pioneers of science fiction fandom, I mean, literally from the first Worldcon on, was a guy named Raymond A. Palmer, or as he liked to term himself, RAP. And he was in the 1940s during the war, which means when paper was scarce, and at any point they could be basically out of business for the duration because ink and paper were valuable commodities and for the war effort in various ways. Anyway, he was the editor of Amazing Stories for a period of about 10 years, a little less than that. And a couple of years into that, and up until this point, he had uh, immaculate science fiction credentials in the pulpy world of science fiction of that time. He got a letter from a guy named Richard Sharp Shaver, his real name, a warning to future man. And it basically was the beginning of I guess, a 5, 6 year long period where Shaver became the dominant force in Amazing Stories, and I believe also Fantastic, and became the purveyor of something called, I think by Palmer, the Shaver Mystery. In later years, I knew Shaver. We'll get to that later, but suffice to say, in this period in the 1940s, the circulation of, according to Palmer, the circulation of Amazing Stories uh, boomed. I think it doubled. It went to something like 50,000 from something like 25,000. And I may be getting the numbers wrong, but the degree of additional interest and people that said they had similar experiences to Shaver and they could relate to what he was saying uh, seems to have increased their circulation. Uh, Shaver said that he had been abducted into what he called the caves and had been uh, invested through a long, complicated process that I don't think you could read about it in. It's all over the internet. That's Richard Sharp Shaver, along with a lot of critical stuff. Uh, some of it very unfair, I think. Um, that he was taken to these caves where these technologically advanced but mutated almost beyond recognition as human beings, uh, which he called the DERO, detrimental robots in the language of the caves. And they had machines that had been left over from primordial times that were supposedly from advanced races that lived on the earth prior to what we consider regular history, uh, and who had abandoned the earth when something happened with our sun. And you can relate that to the current talk about the younger Dryas. And anyway, the sun, apparently up until then, uh, the sun was considered to be all positive. But as anyone who goes to the beach for a bit too long, just a tad, the sun can also be uh, an aging phenomena. I know
Oh,
people who were sun bunnies, years ago in their little scanty bikinis, and now they look like they're 116 if they're a day.